this is officially like the official first podcast, and we don't even have a name.
I'm excited, like the mystery podcast.
It is.
They're like the mystery men.
And we don't have anything to talk about. Like, we're literally looking around the office, and we have no idea of where we're going to go with this. So anyways, the podcast network is called the Amalgam Podcast Network for two reasons. One, my nerdiness of the Amalgam anti-universe almost, because it's not even really a universe anymore of the Marvel DC crossover. And then the fact that this network is going to have like nerdy kind of things and non-nerdy and wedding related and anything and everything in between. Pretty much anybody that wants to either record a podcast or wants to do something or listen to something that just is really, really random, this is the route that they want to go with. So anyway, so my name's Jared, and my buddy across the table here is Tony, and I don't think that there's any form. We don't even have a name.
No, we literally have nothing at this point. Just microphones and recording equipment and ourselves.
And that's about it. Oh, you were saying that you were thinking about the Amalgam name and you did research on it.
Well, yeah, when you told me that we were going to be doing this and that you were targeting the Amalgam as the name, that tripped my memory because I have, just like you, a comic collection at home, and I do have all the Amalgam comics at home as well. So last night I went home and busted them all out and looked through Iron Lantern, Lobo the Duck, Bullets and Bracelets, all the best ones.
I forgot Lobo the Duck. I totally forgot Lobo the Duck. Oh my,
how can you forget Lobo the Duck? It's one of the best. But then I stumbled across one that I remembered reading, and I thought it was highly entertaining when I first got it, and it was the Challengers of the Fantastic, which is the combination of Fantastic Four from the Marvel side and Challengers of the Unknown from the DC side. And so, I can't just pick it up and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, and then put it back down. I had to go do a little research on it, and the more I started to learn about the two different teams, the more last night I read like on the Marvel Wikipedia and the DC Wiki and even, main Wikipedia. It sounds like those two teams were essentially the same team made by different companies. Because Kirby in the 50s started with Challengers of the Unknown. Okay. And it was four guys who, they called them death cheaters, and they would, do these fantastic things and go into outer space somehow. Cheaters. Yes, exactly. But then when Kirby left DC, he went over to Marvel, and he got together with Stan Lee, and they created the Fantastic Four. And the similarities are plentiful between the two teams. Like there's one on Challengers of the Unknown, there's a guy named Professor Haley, Prof. And then there's Professor Reed Richards. And there's Ace, and then there's Johnny Storm. So it's essentially, it's almost the same team, except there's a female and a big rock guy on the Fantastic Four, and the Challengers didn't have that. So it was very interesting the more
Which automatically made them not as cool.
Well, of course, right?
When you don't have a big rock guy or a chick, then right. You're SOL.
But the Challengers had their own special vehicle. I forget what it was called, similar to the Quinjet, or the Fantastic Car, excuse me. But so it was very interesting. So I went on, of course, I couldn't leave it at that. So I went on eBay last night and bought the two Challengers of the Fantastic 500-page showcases, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Got a great deal, only $17 for the two of them together. Wheeled and dealed a little bit with a name your own price. So those are coming to me. So I'm looking forward to reading some of the classic stuff and trying to see how they really do compare the two together, because the teams are very similar before they decided to quote unquote amalgamate them officially. So
I was talking to my buddy Daryl about the whole Amalgam universe, and he was a little confused just about how everything happened. And I think I was like 12 or 13 or something like that when everything went down, and I still have to do some research because I know I'm probably wrong about certain things. But do you remember why they decided to do the whole crossover?
Why?
Because apparently you just did research into this whole thing. Like
I didn't.
Like last night, was online calling up Stan Lee. Stan, man, hey, what's going on with this Amalgam thing?
Caught him in between cameos in his movies. Yeah, but no, I didn't do any research.
That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't do any research big time into the Amalgam backstory. My initial guess is why they did it was money. Because they could, hey, we're the two big players, this is back in the 90s when they were both in their prime. Let's stop fighting, for lack of a better term, and let's make it happen together so we can reap some financial windfall. Because, I remember they did create a new logo, an A with the stars on it, which is supposed to be like a combination of, because DC at that point was using the stars and Marvel was using the big M.
Yep.
So they created a new logo, and, it was supposedly under its own company. The backstory, I forget the specific character, but it was one character from one of the universes that had these kind of telekinetic powers on like a cosmic scale, and he had like a brain fart or something happened.
Oh,
and
it was the red and blue guy.
Right, and somehow it didn't rip the fabric between the universes. It meshed them together for a short time only. And that's why you got things like Batclaw, the Wolverine-Batman combination.
For some reason, I thought it had to do with like a war. Like it was almost like the Secret War, but it was like Flash was racing Quicksilver, and Green Arrow was in an archery contest with Green Arrow and Hawkeye.
See, I feel like they did like a Marvel versus DC later, but I'm not sure that was the Amalgam stuff.
You're probably
like I said,
right.
I didn't go back and read a ton. I just kind of flipped through my comics, and I was like, oh yeah, because there was like 14 different one shots, because they were all issue number 1 of each of these quote unquote series that they created. But the goal, I don't think, was to have them last any further than the one issue. Like Spider Boy number 1, the Spider Man Superboy combination. Most of them seem to end in a cliffhanger, but I don't think the intention was for them to ever move on past the number 1.
Right.
And I'm sure, I don't think I have them, but I'm sure they had some kind of one shot to open and close it with the backstory and things like that.
And they'll never do it again.
Oh God, no. Oh no, they're already now that if anything, the ultimate nerd's dream now, I think, is to see like Amalgam on the big screen. Now that they're all starting to do their cinematic universes, that would be interesting. But
you see Batfleck like battling, I don't know, Captain America, then people would be flipping out.
I would love that. That would be very entertaining. But I don't think, because not only are DC and Marvel involved, but also Fox and Sony and
speaking of Sony,
yes,
yes,
go on.
I am very excited about this new possibility of Spider-Man showing up in, what is it, Avengers 3, or
potentially to make the Civil War storyline kind of start.
Yeah.
I heard that Captain America 3, Iron Man is now signed on to be in there with Captain America, and that supposedly in Captain America 3 they're going to launch the Civil War story. But the big news is that Sony was debating working with them to let Spider-Man get in there too, because in the comics, Spider-Man's kind of in the middle of Captain America and Iron Man in this pro-registration thing. So it'll be very interesting, and obviously that opens the stage for Avengers 4, and I think on Sony's part it's a good move, because I think the Amazing Spider-Man franchise is essentially dead in the water at this point.
Yeah.
And their plans for Venom and Sinister Six and all that are not going to go down as they planned anymore.
Well, and our massive listening audience is going to write them, not even email them. They're going to handwrite letters in and say, hey, listen, don't do this. Don't ruin this for everybody else.
You want to get things done, a handwritten letter is the way to go. I promise you.
So for those that don't know who we are, I guess we should probably take a minute to kind of introduce ourselves and let everybody know that we do more than just talk about comic books. I am and have been a professional event host and wedding DJ for about 12 years now, and I am a huge fan of podcasts. I listen to all kinds of podcasts, anything from The Nerdist, and if you don't know who The Nerdist is, or you have no idea about what they're about, and you like anything even remotely geeky, whether it be technology or music or movies, you need to be listening to that podcast, because it is outstanding. It's funny, it's humorous, which are two very different things, by the way. Funny and humorous are very, very different. But more than that, it's very, very genuine, and it's very conversational. And you'll hear a lot of things probably in this podcast as it evolves that are homages and nods to that, because they set the bar for podcasts as a whole. I think a lot of podcasts now still look back on that and say, yeah, Chris Hardwick really just nailed the door open and said, this is what you can do just by purchasing equipment and having the will to sit down and do it. That was the hardest part, I think, for us, was just finding the time to just say, hey, let's do this. And it's not even necessarily a show where it's, I don't know, I want it to feel like dudes talking, and it's going to be us primarily, but you never know. you never know when somebody really, really famous might stop by, like Chris Hardwick.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just saying, Chris Hardwick, reach out to me.
Open invitation.
Touch me. However you want. And then my buddy Tony across the table. Maybe that's what... No, we shouldn't call it across the table. I'm going to be thinking about that like all the time now is what do we call this? And I'm looking around my office trying to figure it out. What are we going to call it? And that's just not going to happen.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But Tony is across from me. So what do you do?
Similar, but different. But similar, but different. No, I've been same as you. I've been a professional event host for a while now. This is year 15 for me. I've been doing that for a long time. Had the very good fortune to not only help a lot of couples with weddings, but we've done a lot of corporate events. I've done work with the NBA, the NFL, the PGA. I've been very lucky to kind of work with some of those bigger type of productions and have some of those connections, which is really cool. In addition, in my spare time, I do a little authoring on the side as well. I have a best-selling, award-winning book series called The Gore Score. It is a review guide to all things zombie. Most of the content is available online at thegorescore.com, and the books are available ebook, physical print. Just reviews of zombie books, movies, comic books, novels, music, anything that's got a zombie in it. Can pretty much throw a review at it. So, but it's a little more less my opinion, and there is a scoring system attached to it. So that's why I feel like it gets a better connection with the audience. It's not just me rambling and ranting. There's actually some science behind the review of. Gore. The word gore, G-O-R-E, is the 4-score system. I don't think you and I have ever talked about this.
No, this is fresh. This is brand new conversation that's happening right now.
So yeah, the word gore is the scoring system. G-O-R-E. G stands for general entertainment, just how much you can sit back, relax, and just kind of enjoy it. O is original content, how unique something is, if they're doing something different in terms of the standard zombie stuff you've seen before, throwing some quirky stuff in there. R is realism, which is, you got to take it with a grain of salt with zombie stuff, obviously, but it's more how the story as it exists could potentially exist in a real world scenario. And then E is effects and editing. So your graphics, if it's a comic book, how the art is, the blood splatter, things like that. So you take those 4 categories, score them from 1 to 10, average them out, you get an overall score, and that's how things fall in terms of whether it's pretty cool or boo.
Now, is this just your opinion on the Gore Score, or did you outsource it and like get other people's opinion and kind of do the average of 10 or 20 or 30 people?
For the most part, it is my opinion and my feedback on the scores. Over the last 6 months or so, I now have some new writers who are writing for me and doing reviews for us. So the Gore Score in its book form, Volume 1 and Volume 2, is completely my writings. Volume 3, which is about to be released early next year and onward, is myself and a team of writers who are reviewing various novels, movies, things like that.
Any personal favorites? I am not. I like zombie flicks. I like zombie stuff, but you are the zombie go-to guy. So if anybody has questions about zombies, make sure that you reference Tony, not me, about that. But is there anything that just like you were super stoked about?
Yes. Certain books, and I mean there's been obviously a ton of movies, and a lot of them are really good. A lot of them are not so great. In fact, I found so many movies that were so good, I actually did a spin-off book, and that one should probably be coming out next year as well. It's called the Gore Score Special, 25 Zombie Films to Die For. And that's where you take the best ones like your classics, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland, even some deeper cuts, some foreign films like there's a Japanese zombie movie called Versus, which is like a martial arts zombie mashup. And it's really quirky. If you've never seen it, if anybody listening has never seen Versus, I recommend trying to find it because it's trippy, but it's awesome. It's like 2 hours of just mind-blowing entertainment.
Is it Versus just VS or Versus
Versus,
VER?
yeah, the word, VERSUS, yeah, Versus. It exists in many different DVD forms. There's like an Ultimate Edition, a General Edition, but anything you see the movie, like the zombies do martial arts as well. It's almost indescribable, but definitely worth your time. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like books, the original World War Z book, which for those of you who are not intimately familiar with zombies, is vastly different than the World War Z movie that came out last year. I highly recommend the book. It's probably the best fiction zombie book that I've ever read. The movie's not bad as well. The movie is much better than I thought it would be, but they're two completely different things. They share a name, and that's about it. Completely different. So the book is a great kind of retelling. The book was designed as a reporter talking about the zombie world war, where the zombie apocalypse happened and then the humans fought it off and survived. So the story takes place after the zombie war is over, and it's a journalist who goes around getting different accounts, eyewitness accounts from different people, military men who were in battles, people who saw, their loved ones die in front of them, things like that. It's very unique because it gets a lot of different perspectives, and it also talks about like the history of, the zombie virus has been with us throughout the ages. They go back to like ancient Samaria and ancient Greece, and they talk about how, there have been a few minor zombie outbreaks here and there, but then in the current time is when the full-blown outbreak happens. So it's very different. It's very interesting, but it's an excellent book. It's wonderful.
Book's much better than the movie.
The book is better than the movie. They are two different. I'm not saying the movie is bad because I liked it. I own it. It's just.
But I don't want to read. I don't want to read. Is there an audiobook?
I would assume so.
All right.
I would assume so. And most people don't know this either, but the book was written by Max Brooks, who is Mel Brooks' son.
So Mel Brooks does the audiobook. He reads the book, right?
That would be phenomenal. If he did, I would pay real money. Obviously, I mean, I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. So.
That would be epic. That would be outstanding. That would be outstanding.
Yeah. But no, the goal with the Gore Squad, just to wrap it up, is to find some of the deeper cuts. I mean, nobody needs me to tell them that the Walking Dead TV show is great, that the Walking Dead comics are great. Our goal is to find some of the independent movies, some of the lesser known, comic books and things like that, and help bring those to light, both for the benefit of the readers and the creators. So that's what we try to do, is we kind of target some of the off-kilter stuff, the lesser-known stuff, and help people discover things that they may not have access to normally. So,
and you can use this podcast as an outsource and a resource for that. So if you are a creator of some sort of zombie-related material, you can definitely reach Tony through here, and he'll, who knows, give you a shout-out and say, hey, check out this new book. You should read it, and then give it to your cousin and have him read it, and then take it away from him and be like, "What's up now?"
Well, I mean, heck, with the Amalgam Network that we're creating, there's no point that we can't do a zombie podcast, or people can't be on for. We're doing interviews on the Gore Score website, so we can do live interviews. There's also all sorts of stuff. The possibilities, endless.
They are the Zomcast. Oh my gosh! See, like you can come up with some really cool names with that. Again, we come back to this, and we've got. Nothing. There is nothing. Tony and I have a lot of similarities, though. We both are big Doctor Who fans.
Yes.
We're both big music lovers.
Oh, yeah.
Of all kinds, whether it be more unique and kind of left field type things, or more mainstream. Both being DJs for a long time, we've got quite the eclectic collection of memories of music that we love and music that we don't like. So
yeah, almost too much.
Yeah,
probably.
I still honestly feel that that's probably the best thing that ever gets said to me at weddings or events that I'm at is, do you ever get tired of songs? Do you ever get tired of celebration or whatever else? Absolutely. I can't stand that song anymore. and rightfully so. I mean, we hear it 3 or 4 times out of the week. So I will say this though, as a musician, you do gain a lot of respect. You gain a lot of respect for a lot of the songs that get overly played, and that's okay. That's all right. That's not a big deal. So, but Doctor Who music, zombies is really Tony's thing, and this whole podcast is only going to be about 30 minutes long. So you're 18 minutes into it right now. So if you're still with us,
yay!
Woo-hoo, all 7 people. But
cool. Thanks, Mom.
I can't say that because my mom won't listen to this, and I know that she won't listen to this. And now that I say that, she's going to listen to this, and she's going to leave a comment and be like,
"Get you now."
Yeah, she will. She'll not be happy about it at all. But we're hoping to expand this and do other things with games. Tony and I we play a lot of games. So something I'd love to see us do is maybe do game reviews and just talk about, hey, this is stuff. These are games that we're enjoying. These are games that can be improved upon. He has gotten me addicted to Small World 2. He's gotten my wife Maggie addicted to Small World 2. Oh, yeah. We have to spend a lot of money now to purchase Small World 2.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you are. Don't think you are at all. And exploring games. So here in Indianapolis, which is where we're located, Indianapolis, there's all kinds of different cons. There's Awesome Con, there's Gen Con, there's Comic Con now. Comic Con for the first time ever was this last year, and it was huge. So
we'll have two next year now because Indiana Comic Con's happening again, and Wizard World is coming in to make their own brand of Comic Con.
You know, I'm okay with them not doing that.
Yeah, well, it's too late now. I mean, they're coming for at least.
I can
next
make a
year,
phone call.
So, yeah.
I can make a phone call. Just give me a minute here. I don't know. I've heard negative things about Wizard World.
It's very, it's like, and I don't want to speak ill of them because I've never been, but from what I hear, it's like the Walmart of conventions where there's one in every city and you kind of know what you're getting because they're all set up the same way. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but the creative aspect I feel probably gets a little lost in the shuffle there.
Does everybody wear blue vests as they walk around?
Potentially. I mean, there might be rollback signs. I mean, you have no idea.
There probably will be.
Yeah, probably.
This back issue bin is being rolled back to 30 cents a piece. So we're hoping maybe to reach out and do some recordings out there and talk to some really cool people that would have a lot of interest. But, Wizard World, I keep coming back to that now. Wizard World, did you ever buy Wizard?
Yeah, for a while back in the 90s, one of my very first jobs was in a comic book store when I was 16. So that was kind of in Wizard's prime when they existed as that magazine before they started to branch out. And I would buy them every so often. I don't think I ever had a subscription. I don't think I got it routinely, but sometimes they would loop me in with like the foil cards they would package in or the exclusive comics and things like that. But I was never hardcore on it, but I've read many an issue.
There was a very distinct smell. Smell with Wizard. As soon as you open it and you had that smell that came out.
It's true.
That lured me in. And that was your only source because, that was like the very early stages of the internet.
Sure.
So it was significantly easier. By the way, I'm 32, so that kind of gives everybody an idea of where I'm at in the history of the world. So when the internet was first coming around was when Wizard was still the only source to, oh, hey, Jeff Johns is doing this, or hey, here you can see exclusive art from Alex Ross or whoever else, and you would see that and you'd be like, I can't see that anywhere else.
Right.
But now I feel bad because Wizard actually had some really cool things. Like if they would have done an online publication, I probably would have. Like if they do it now, I would probably subscribe to it. I would pay because they had cool stuff. They had fun stuff. They were the first people that did like the Mego things.
Yeah.
And then Seth Green took off. Seth Green, good friend of mine. Not really. But hey, Seth, if you're listening to this, you're welcome to come on at any point in time and hang out with us and talk about Megos or whatever else. But yeah, the very back that's where I would start because that's where the Mego cartoons and whatever they call them. It wasn't really stop action animation, but it was something close to it. So
that was also a good spot. Wizard was where you could find a lot of. I would check it for. It wasn't a full blown price guide.
Yes.
But it had a lot of good information about things that were hot, things that you could maybe look to move on right now versus later. I have to give Wizard credit for a lot of those publications that existed as print publications. Now with the advent of the internet, and I'm right there with you, being 36 years old. It was different back then, and they could have easily folded up shop when their magazine was clear that it wasn't going to keep existing, but they changed course, grew, did things differently, and now the convention world is a viable option for them. So, if nothing else, I give them credit for keeping going and still being here with us, I guess. So,
well, not hopefully. Once people start listening to this, they're going to say, we want you at our cons. And here in Indianapolis, that's fine. You send us a limousine, and we will provide everything that's needed, minus all of the equipment.
Yeah.
And you can provide food, and we will need at least 4 different people to carry our backpacks.
Oh, minimum.
Yes.
Minimum.
That's 4 each.
Yeah, pretty big stuff there. So I do give Wizard credit for landing some big guests that other places wouldn't land. Like I've only seen Shatner and at Wizard World. Well, I mean, not only, but primarily. I know he's been at Chicago. He's been at Louisville. Same thing with Bruce Campbell. They seem to have a good relationship with these quirky guys that I personally am big fans of. That maybe just for whatever reason, like the Pop Cons and the Awesome Cons, and I don't know if these guys have special contracts or if they have a certain amount of money guaranteed or appearances or whatever. But whatever they've done, they've got them. And if you want to meet them, that's where you got to go. So
I'm intrigued. Now I feel like it's we've now challenged ourselves to go to at least Wizard World when it comes here. Do you know when Wizard World's coming here?
That's a great question.
If only we had some sort of a database of information.
There was some sort of online, some sort of web that was worldwide
that we could search.
Yes.
At any point in time in our entire lives, and information would
populate. Al Gore would get on that. I know that some conventions next year have shifted a few things around because of scheduling. So my guess is they found their date. I just don't know what it is, and you're probably about to tell me.
Yep. Wizard World Indianapolis Comic Con is coming to the Indianapolis Convention Center February 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Oh.
2015. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, isn't that romantic on Valentine's Day weekend?
Yep. It looks like they've got a few people lined up. Michael Rooker.
Sure.
If
great.
you've not seen Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm sure we'll spend an entire podcast talking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Imagine how he wouldn't.
Who else is here? Michael Cudlitz. I don't know who that is. That name doesn't strike me at all. Oh, whoops! I clicked on something. Michael Cutlitz, hailing from the East Coast. Michael Cutlitz graduated from the California Institute of Arts Theater program and has okay, that's great. Best known portraying veteran officer John Cooper in TNT's critically acclaimed drama Southland. I don't know who that guy is.
I don't watch Southland. I'm sure he's famous in his own right, but I'm not a Southland fan. I've never watched it, so I wouldn't know.
Paul Wesley from the Vampire Diaries.
Okay.
Oh wait, he might be coming to. Oh, okay.
We're looking at multiple.
Yeah, they're tricky. They're putting the big name, and then underneath that, they're saying where they're coming to. Gigi Edsley, Michael Rooker once again, Kate Cassidy.
Okay,
don't know her. Paul Wesley, he was in the Vampire Diaries.
All right.
Yeah, not really.
CW show. Again, I'm sure they've got a great target audience. It's as a 30-something. That's not me, but I'm sure it's great for what it is.
Did you see The Flash?
I did not. I have it on my DVR, but I haven't watched it.
I am really excited about what they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
Shatner is coming.
Yes.
Shatner's coming to Indianapolis.
And, then I will be there then. So I find it interesting that Wizard World came in February because Indiana Comic Con last year was in March, and I believe they've targeted March again. So I wonder if, I'm sure it's a combination of available dates and things like that, but it feels like there's not a lot of 2015 before March to dive in before another comic convention, but they found a spot where they could do that.
Indiana Comic Con, I went this past year, 2014, and it was good. The only downfall was it just wasn't. They needed more space to get everybody in there.
I heard they kind of underestimated, because at one point I think on Saturday they actually closed admission. They couldn't, by fire law, they couldn't allow any more people in there. I wasn't able to go, but my wife
Which day?
is Saturday, I think.
Oh, yeah, that was the day I went there.
Right, because my wife is in IndieProv, Indianapolis' local independent improv comedy troupe, and they did a Doctor Who-themed show on Saturday, so she was there, and she said that it was a little chaotic, and it was very busy, and the rumor was at one point they had stopped allowing people to come in, which I think was verified on their websites and people talking about it. Oh, yeah.
There's actually, if you go to indianacomiccon.com, there's actually, for those that aren't familiar with the convention center is amazing. It's a huge convention center, and it's a major reason why Indianapolis is now one of the, if not the, well, no, they are. Wasn't Indianapolis just voted or ranked the number one convention city in the United States?
Yeah, we're one of the major ones.
Heck yeah. We got corn, soy, and conventions. So 2014 was Hall D and E, and 2015 has actually got a static image. It says 2015 is no longer D and E. It's F, G, H, I, J, and K.
There you go.
Which is literally gigantic. And I encourage you guys to check that out sometime if you get a chance to. But it looks like Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
Jason Momoa.
Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones.
Who's also, isn't he Aquaman? Didn't he just sign on to be Aquaman?
You know, I heard his name being thrown around. I'm not sure if that was finalized, but that would be awesome if he did.
Interesting. John Rhys Davies?
Yes, big fan. Gimli from Lord of the Rings, and my personal favorite, Professor Arturo from Sliders.
Yes,
I would love to meet John. He just seems like a cool guy.
And his voice. He's got one of those really cool voices.
I do love a good voice actor. John Rhys Davies is great. Patrick Warburton, H. John Benjamin. They could read me the phone book, and I would laugh heartily for hours.
Man, if we could ever get... There are some... I've noticed voiceover actors are super duper cool about just doing random stuff.
That's
Like,
cool.
yeah, you got a decent Instagram following or whatever. Yeah, let's take a picture together. It would blow my mind if one time we could actually get somebody like that on this show.
That'd be awesome.
I just quit after that. I would literally quit. I did not know the Slippery Noodle is sponsoring it. Downtown Comics
Very
is
cool.
sponsoring it. That
very,
makes
very
sense.
excellent place.
Comic Carnival sponsoring it.
There's another big name there, Billy West.
Billy West. Speaking of voice actors,
I don't know him personally, but he has done so many different characters. I mean, Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy, Fry from Futurama. I mean, Doug. I mean, you can see. I mean, he is just amazing. That's a guy I would love to literally pick his brain about the process because he's been doing it for so long in so many different venues.
Yeah, and if he's going to be at the Indiana Comic Con, I'm definitely going to that one. I will have to block myself off of that. There's a great movie that John DiMaggio. Do you know who John DiMaggio is?
That voice of Bender and Jake from Adventure Time. Yeah,
he produced a movie. I think it was called I Know That Voice.
Okay.
And it literally goes back all the way back to Mel Blanc days. And he talks to everybody that's still around. And he just watches as everything progresses. And they talk about just voiceover work and how they all got into it and how they want to move forward with it and everything in between. It's actually, I watched it. It was on Amazon because I've got the Amazon Prime. So we've got the instant stream.
Sure.
And I watched that. It was about an hour and a half or 2 hours long.
Okay.
If you like voiceover stuff at all, that's
cool.
definitely worth it.
It sounds awesome. I mean, John DiMaggio was at PopCon this year here in Indianapolis, and I didn't get a chance to meet him specifically, but seems like a cool dude.
Well, speaking of comic book stuff, it looks like there's all kinds of artists, and there's a lot of artists that I probably really want to see. John Beatty, who did The Secret Wars, the official first appearance of the black costume for Spider-Man. I've got a couple different copies of that, and I would love to have him sign it. But anyway, Wizard World is coming in February. Indiana Comic Con is... I'm sorry, I did not say that before. Indiana Comic Con is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, March 13th, 14th, and 15th. So almost exactly 1 month.
I see.
Yeah, exactly 1 month after the other one.
My gears are clicking now because I follow the Comic Con on their Facebook page, and just a few weeks ago they announced on Valentine's Day, on February 14th, they're going to be doing at 4 local comic shops. They're going to have 4 local comic or nationally known comic creators doing signings at the different comic shops. So my guess now it's clicking that Wizard World's going to be here. So they are obviously trying to encourage people to do their thing instead of Wizard World. I get it.
Well, and they said 4 different shops.
I believe so, yes.
Well, I know Downtown Comics will be one of them, right off the circle. Probably Downtown Comics West and then North, and then maybe Comic Book University.
Yeah, I'd have to go look on Facebook, but I know they had 4 different artists / creators.
That's my guess.
Fairly big names.
It's my guess.
Yeah.
Purely a guess. Interesting. Well, we are at our time for today. So hopefully this has been a good introduction for everybody into who we are and what we do. These are not really going to be set other than they'll come out every once in a while. Stay tuned. And once we get more of a regular schedule, we'll be able to announce when these all happen and everything in between. So if there's specific things that you like to hear us talk about or get into or get our opinions, something that we didn't talk about was we're both big techie geeks and nerds, and freaking Tony has a watch that I want really, really bad. And unfortunately, I can't wear watches. So there's no point in me owning the watch if I can't wear the watch.
Maybe they just need to come out with like one of the classic watch, on your holster, on your hip, the classic
with a little clip ring.
Yeah, well, I'm blanking on I want to call it a stopwatch, but it's not that. The pocket watch.
Yep. Oh, a pocket watch.
They should come out with a pocket watch version.
A pocket watch Pebble.
Of the Pebble. That would be amazing.
Oh.
My wife was telling me that there's, and I've never looked it up,
Pocket Pebble.
But yeah, pocket Pebble. She said there's a thing online where there's for girls, it's like a big ring. And that seems like it's going to be a big ring if it's a ring version of a Pebble. I've never looked it up, but it sounds... She might be a liar. I don't know. I mean, I love her regardless. I'm sure she's listening and is not thrilled with that, but I would have to check it out. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode of Fill in the Blank Cast or whatever we're calling this thing. So
fill in the blank. There you go.
Name our podcast. Maybe we'll have a contest or something.
Hey, yeah, no, I'm down with that one. All right, everybody, enjoy driving or whatever you're doing. Be safe, and we'll talk to you later.
See ya.